Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Peter Oehrtman. I'm a Cincinnati-based piano teacher and assistant to the director at Indian Springs Academy of Music. Today, I'm going to be presenting a session entitled Fresh Approaches to Old School Teaching. Traditional doesn't have to be boring. In this presentation, I'm going to be examining how traditional teaching can be taught in ways that are interesting, engaging, and encourage intrinsic motivation. Just so you know, I'm going to be toggling back and forth between a PowerPoint slide, so you may get a little bit of lag time when that happens, and there will also be a question and answer session at the end of the presentation, so you can save your questions for that time. Also, I'll be referencing a few sources, and I'm including sources handout, which will be available on the members only page of the MTNA website. So let's get started. So first of all, a couple of definitions. What is traditional teaching? Well, I'm defining traditional teaching as literacy-based teaching, basically teaching students how to read and interpret music. In other words, I want my students to be able to learn a piece on their own without heavy dependence on rote teaching. So this involves music literacy, teaching note reading, teaching rhythm and pulse, and it's also somewhat conservatory style based. So we involve things like teaching the repertoire, basically the greatest hits of the classical canon, as well as performance practice of how to play those pieces. It also involves teaching skills like ear training, sight reading, and academic topics. But why am I talking about traditional teaching? Well, I believe that its value has been proven over time. I think that literacy-based teaching leads to student independence. And my personal opinion is that if a student can't learn a piece independently from us, I don't know how well I've done my job. So I think that I believe in traditional teaching just because its value has been proven in creating artists and independent learners. And the essential skill that students gain from this method is that they learn the canon of repertoire and how to successfully learn and perform it. Just one caveat, I'm not making any value judgments about how other skills than just artistry need to be taught. That's another presentation for another time. So why this specific topic? Why fresh approaches? Well, there are lots of trendy teaching methods out there. And I think that in comparison, traditional teaching can feel kind of unsexy. There's lots of focus on teaching trends in academic circles, things like improvisation, entrepreneurship, teaching pop songs and lead sheets. And I think because so many of these trends are fun and exciting, traditional teaching can feel kind of old and stodgy. And I'm not getting down on the other topics, by the way. I just think that literacy-based teaching needs an advocate. And let's be honest with ourselves. Depending on how it's taught, traditional teaching can be kind of boring. I think that if the MTNA conference were like a family reunion, and every session were a person at that family reunion, the session on traditional teaching would be like your sturdy great aunt who isn't necessarily the life of the party, but you can sure count on her to bring a big thing of scalloped potatoes. But I believe that teaching these skills doesn't have to be like forcing your student to eat their vegetables while teaching pop songs at the end of the lesson is like giving them their dessert. I think that if we listen to student needs and what bothers them about specific aspects of traditional teaching methods, we can adjust and get them excited about the learning process all on its own.